time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to forgive and a time to forget. Dreams we dream sometime never die. We carry them on until they become someone else's dreams. A friend of mine had such a dream. I met her at a truck stop just outside of Phoenix. We both worked there. Her dream came true, I know. The key to her dream was a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go." She was a lovely girl, pretty smile, but behind all this I could see a troubled mind. She told me when she met the guy that won her heart and made her life a joy. And before too long, more happiness came, a little baby boy. Things wasn't too bad, his job wasn't much, but somehow they got by. And then came the day he drove home a big truck, and the little boy became so overjoyed, just like when he saw his first fall of snow. He kept hollering, "Giddy up, go, Daddy, giddy up, go." Then a dark cloud moved in. A few years later, without warning, after a few visits with her doctor, he said it was just a matter of time. She knew she'd have to move to a drier climate, and this troubled her mind. So without leaving a trace, she took her son and left town one night. She settled here, and we became the closest of friends. We talked from time to time, and she'd smile, and her eyes would glow when she'd tell me about Giddy Up Go. Each time a truck would pull in, I could see her stand and stare. Wasn't long before she had to give up being a waitress here, and she moved on out of town, not too far. We visited almost every week. The boy now's almost grown. He's the image of his dad, she'd say, the most handsomest man I've ever known. The dark cloud once more moved in, and as I stood close by, once again she told her story. I could see a tear in her eye. I know my son longs for the road, and the last request she had, let him become a truck driver, like son, like dad. The boy soon left town, I never knew for where. But I find myself watching every truck that pulled in around the curve. Giddy Up Go was the only link that held between the two, and I was hoping that I could be of help. It became a dream to me too. Just now I froze in my tracks as I watched two trucks pull in, a big new shiny diesel and an old one following him. I couldn't help staring as they walked in, ordered coffee, and talked a while. Then I saw them leave, both wearing such a smile. They walked out to the old truck, brushed off some dirt so the nameplate would show. And before my eyes, a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go."
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. Well, sir, I'm just as proud and happy to be down here with all you fine folks, and handsome fellers, too. Now, they are. Sure enough, I've been looking at them. I just look. It don't do no good, but I still look. It's kind of like going down to the depot and watching the trains go by. You love to hear the whistle even if you ain't going nowhere. But I did have two nice-looking fellers kind of look at me tonight as I was walking in out there. There was two of the handsomest fellers standing there, and I looked over at them and smiled, and they looked over at me and laughed out loud. One of them said to the other, he said, "I believe that's the ugliest woman I ever seen in my life." The other one said, "Yes, she's awful ugly, but she might be a pretty good old girl. You know, beauty's only skin deep." And the other one said, "Well, let's skin her." See, I can't help the way I look. When they passed around looks, I thought they said books, and I said, give me a funny one. Well, so this other feller, he says to me, he says, now, I believe I recognize that girl. Said, that's that Minnie Pearl. Said, she's been down there at the Grand Ole Opry for 175 and a half years. He said, she carries on like she's from the country. He said, I bet she ain't from the country. He said, I bet she don't know a goose from a gander. I turned around, I said, well, at Grinder's Switch, we don't worry about that. We just put them all out there together and let them figure it out for themselves. Oh, so far we ain't had no complaints, hardly at all, you might say. Well, so though my feller, he had a fit about me coming off over here. You know, he gets worried about me when I leave Grinder's Switch and come over here to Nashville. He does. He worries. He said, one of these nights, you'll get over there around that Grand Ole Opry, and one of them fellas over there will run off with you. I wish they would. I just said that because it's so. No, he said last night he come by the house. And, oh, you know, it is so romantical. It is late. It's about 8:30, I reckon. And we was sitting there on the double settee in the front room, and I was sitting by him, and him by me, and one by each, and each by the other. We was just sitting there. Oh, it is romantical, except for one thing. We got a great big old tall grandfather clock. Stands away tall against the wall, and it ticks slow. Every time my fella comes over there to keep me company, sound like that old clock saying, take your time, take your time. I ought to get one of my fast ticking little clocks that goes, get together, get together, get together. Ain't this awful grown girl of 18 up here carrying on so silly? He said, what would you do? We're sitting there just looking at one another, just like two frogs under a collard leaf and it a-raining. He said, what would you do if you was to get off up there around where all them handsome fellers are up there in the city and run up on a bunch of one of them fast fellers, them city broke fellers that'd just kiss you at the drop of a hat? What would you do? I said, I reckon I'd be all time dropping my hat. I ain't had no trouble yet. I'm still a-hoping. Law, I ain't been kissed in so long. I forgot whether it's done but drawing in your breath or blowing it out. That's right now, sure does. They say kissing spreads germs. I sure have spent a lot of healthy evenings in my life. We had a party the other night at Grinder's Switch, where I live at, and right in the middle of it, they started playing a game where they drawed a circle in the middle of the floor, and a girl would stand in the middle of the circle, and a fella would either have to kiss her or pay a fine. I made $11.34. One old boy didn't have no money with him, said he'd pay me come Saturday. But I'd like to take you all with me to Grinder's Switch sometime. Now, I've been talking about Grinder's Switch for now on to 20 years up here at the Grand Ole Opry, and there's several folks have asked me about Grinder's Switch, and I'd just love to take you with me. We've got more going on down there than you ever seen. River runs every day, train runs once a week. Everything going on down there, it's exciting. Now, last week, Chief Jones got one of them newfangled oil stoves, and that thing blowed Chief and his old lady clean out the top of the roof. First time they've been out together since they got married. He ain't like Lem Perkins. He takes his wife with him everywhere he goes. I said to him one day, I said, Lem, you thoughty? You take your wife with you everywhere you go. He said, yeah, she's so ugly, I'd rather take her with me than to kiss her goodbye.
I'm a-going hunting, got my shotgun in my hand. But I ain't hunting rabbits, I'm hunting for a man. Done bought myself a license, and the first thing that I treat will end up either getting shot or coming home with me. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, and all aim is bad. I aim to get a feller. When I do, I'll be so glad. I ain't too particular and don't know what I'll find. I'm just looking for a man with loving on his mind. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm hunting is a deer. Now it's open season, there'll be hunters by the store, hunting ducks and elephants from here to Singapore. They'll kill lots of animals because they always do. I may not kill a single man, but I'll cripple up a few. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm a hunting is a great big strong handsome deer. D-E-A-R, that is.
Well, sir, I had the most exciting experience I ever had in my life last week. I went to a wedding. It won't mine, it is some feller's else's. I wish it'd have been mine. That's one wedding I'd sure like to get an invite to. But I went to that wedding, and I wish y'all could have went with me. Oh, they had flowers. They had Christmas anthems and nasturtiums and petunias and begonias. I never seen the beat all around. And they had a lady playing the organ. She was playing Meddlesome's Wedding March. Oh, I just cried and cried. Had the best time. And the bride, she come down the aisle, and she had on a white dress and white mosquito netting up and down the front of her face. I didn't see why they didn't just spray her with DDT. Her dress was awful pretty in the front, but it sagged something awful down the back. Two little young'uns had to come behind and tote it for her. She just come on in there like there wasn't nothing wrong with the hem of her dress. Seemed like somebody to notice that before she got in there. It embarrassed me. And if she'd have had to get away from there in a hurry with that long dress swinging out behind her, she'd have fell, broke her leg, they'd have had to shoot her. But she come on in there, and the groom, he was waiting for her at the halter. Well, that's what it was. It took him a little time to find it out, but that's what it was. You know, they said the bride looked stunning. Well, the groom just looked stunned. He looked like another clean-shirted dun. One more, be all he need. I felt sorry for him. You know, he is out of his mind, bound to have been. He never would have said what he did. He told that girl right there in front of all them folks that he'd give her all the worldly goods he had. He did. I heard him. He said he'd give her all his worldly goods. As Pappy was sitting by me, he said, "Uh-oh, there goes Jed's slingshot." And coming on home from that wedding was the closest that my feller ever come to proposing to me. I just tell you, it is just the most exciting thing. We was coming by the graveyard, and that there's where it like to happen, right there. We come by the graveyard, and was coming along with a horse and buggy, see? And we come by the graveyard, and my feller Hezzy, he pulled up that old horse, and we stopped there in front of that graveyard, and he looked over at the graveyard, and then he looked over at me, and he said, "Minnie Pearl," that there's my name's Minnie Pearl. That is why he called me that. He said, well, it was. I reckon it's the only reason I know of. He said, "Minnie Pearl," he said, "all my kinfolks for years back, everybody ever been kin to me, and I reckon ever will be, has been buried over in that graveyard. I hope someday to see you buried over there, too." Well, I didn't know what to say, him proposing to me like that. And then when he kissed me, and the way he kissed me, he started to tell the horse to get up, and just as he started to tell the horse to get up, he went like this, and I got in the way. He kissed me all right. I thought every hair on my head was a harp, and somebody's playing a different tune on every one of them. I've been in several weddings myself. I've been a bridesmaid. Oh, I love to be in them. I just love a wedding. The last one I was in, though, I had a little trouble about my dress. I was aiming to wear a real pretty dress. Aunt Ambrosie and Mammy was cutting it out for me, and they had the fine pattern that we've used several times for my dresses. And this one was going to have a V-neck, and Aunt Ambrosie had on a new pair of spectacles, and they give her double vision. And when she cut it out, instead of it being a V-neck, it come out a W. Well, I couldn't use that dress. I just had to get another one, you know? Aunt Ambrosie is a fine lady. She's Uncle Nabob's wife, and Uncle Nabob's one of my favorite uncles of all. He's the finest old feller. I'd love to have brung him up here with me. I would have loved for y'all to have saw him. But every time I take him somewhere, he just mortifies me to death. A little while ago, I took him up to New York with me. I had to do a show up there, and he embarrassed me so. He never had rode an elevator. And we got in that little cage, and they jammed the door shut, and we just shot right straight up, about 15 or 16 wagon greasings. Got to the top, and fella run the elevator, turned around and seen Uncle Nabob look kind of pale. He said, "What's the matter, Pop? Did it scare you?" Uncle Nabob said, "No, I always wear my pants down around my ankles this way." Day or two after that, I had a little more trouble with him. I went in one of them great big department stores, and I lost Uncle Nabob. Couldn't find him nowhere. And I found him finally. He was trying to go up on a down escalator. I said, "Uncle Nabob, what in the world are you trying to do, trying to go up on a down escalator?" He said, "Leave me alone, gal. Can't you see I'm a-gaining on it?"
When I woke up this morning, I found my wife was gone.
So I phoned to the nearest tavern, said, "Bartender, put my wife on." Irene, Irene, don't leave me, I beg on bended knee. Come home, I need that picture,
and bring some pretzels for me.
You promised me the rainbow if I'd come back to you, but some of the colors I'm missing, all you give me was black and blue.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Wake up, you're snoring too loud. You've dreamed the whole night through, dear.
Now the fields have got to be plowed.
I fell asleep last night, dear, while reading them new catalogs. I was dreaming of satins and laces till you called me to slop the hogs.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Tell me it's only a dream.
Go look into the mirror
and see what makes me scream.
You said when we got married, I'd really strike it rich.
Well, didn't we get you a job, dear?
Yeah, as a brakeman at old Grinder's switch.
Irene, Irene, good morning. You swore you'd leave last night, but you're still here this morning
and ready to start a fight. Woman, what do you mean coming in here at 3 o'clock in the morning with a pitcher full of pretzels and a handful of beer, telling me you've been to a picture show?
I'm sorry, baby. I won't do it no more. I don't do it never again.
Don't come singing that sad song to me. I've heard it before.
Not never again.
Oh, yes, you will. You done got a taste of it now.
Don't act so ugly and mean.
I'm sorry we ever got married. Good morning, Irene.
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. I'm gonna sing now. Let her go, fellers. You can have my coffee, you can have my tea. Just you let my feller be. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I like fiddle-style crowd. I get my mail on the rural route. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. I've got a man and a bulldog too. My man don't bite, but my bulldog do. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I've got a stove, got the best in town. What I need's a good man to turn the damper down. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I may be old and up in years, but I can climb a hill without changing gears. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I ain't no beauty, don't dress so fine, but you ought to see me handle that feller of mine. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be.
I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. I swear it true, darling, you're the only one. I think of you, of the past and all our fun. I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. You're my darling, you've been true. I should have been good to you. You're the one that's in my heart while we're apart. I'll be true, I'll prove it to you someday. I love you, in my heart you'll always stay. I've been so blue and lonesome all these days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways. I'll be nice and sweet to you, and no more will you be blue. I'll prove I love you every day, all kinds of ways. So darling, please wait until I'm free. There'll be a change, a great change made in me. I'll be true, there never will be blue days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways.
What is an American anyway? Well, he yells for the government to balance the budget, then takes his last dime to make him a down payment on his car. He whips the enemy nations, then gives them the shirt off his back. He yells for speed laws that'll stop fast driving, and then won't buy a car unless it'll make 100 miles an hour. He gets scared to death if we vote $1 billion for education. But he's cool as a cucumber when he finds out we're spending $3 billion a year on tobacco. He gripes about the high price of the things he has to buy, gripes still more about the low price of things he has to sell. He'll get mad at his wife for not running their home with the efficiency of a hotel, then get mad at the hotel for not operating like a home. He'll spend half a day looking for vitamin pills to make him live longer, then drive 90 miles an hour on slick pavement to make up for time lost. He'll fall out with his wife over her cooking, then go on a fishing trip and swallow half-fried potatoes, burnt fish, and gritty creek water coffee made in a rusty bucket and think it's good. He'll work hard on the farm so he can move into town, so he can make money, so he can move back on the farm. He's the only fella in the world who'll pay 50 cents to park while he eats a 25-cent sandwich. He likes to cuss his government, but gets fighting mad if somebody else does it. We're the folks that have more food to eat than any other place in the world, and more diets to keep us from eating it. We're the most ambitious people on earth. We run from morning till night to keep our earning power up with our yearning power. We're supposed to be the most Christian nation on earth, but still can't deliver a payroll without an armored guard. But we're pretty nice folks. Calling a citizen of the United States a real American is the best compliment you can pay him.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Where did you stay last night?
Well, I went to the corner for pretzels, and somebody turned out the light.
When I woke up this morning, I found my wife was gone.
So I phoned to the nearest tavern, said, bartender, put my wife on. Irene, Irene, don't leave me, I beg on bended knee. Come home, I need that picture,
And bring some pretzels for me.
You promised me the rainbow if I'd come back to you, but some of the colors I'm missing. All you give me was black and blue.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Wake up, you're snoring too loud. You've dreamed the whole night through, dear.
Now the fields have got to be plowed.
I fell asleep last night, dear, while reading them new catalogs. I was dreaming of satins and laces till you called me to slop the hogs.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Tell me it's only a dream.
the mirror
and see what makes me scream.
You said when we got married, I'd really strike it rich.
Well, didn't we get you a job, dear?
Yeah, as a brakeman at old Grinder's switch.
Irene, Irene, good morning. You swore you'd leave last night, but you're still here this morning
and ready to start a fight. Woman, what do you mean coming in here at 3 o'clock in the morning with a pitcher full of pretzels and a handful of beer, telling me you've been to a picture show?
I'm sorry, baby, I won't do it no more. I won't do it never
Yeah,
again.
don't come singing that sad song to me. I've heard it before.
Not never again.
Oh, yes, you will. You done got a taste of it now.
Don't act so ugly and mean.
I'm sorry we ever got married.